me share my screen without any further delay. So today we are going to discuss about the mechanics of qualitative research design. We'll be discussing along with gap and how to constitute question and how to identify research problem along with this. So let me tell you very briefly, research is a systematic investigation, means it is science, it is based on science. It has got a scientific value and it is being studied with different materials and sources in order to establish the fact and reach new conclusions. This is the basic fundamentals of research. So that means we need material, maybe physical, maybe intellectual, or sources may be tangible, maybe intangible sometimes. And when we are talking about research, it is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomena. It involves inductive and deductive method. And when we are talking about inductive and deductive method, inductive research method analyze an observed event, while deductive method verifies the observed event. So inductive approaches are associated with qualitative research and deductive methods are more commonly associated with quantitative analysis. So today we are going to discuss about the qualitative research. What is the need, the purpose of qualitative research? Because you see, researchers they are very much, I mean to say, it is obvious that to increase knowledge of a people or situation that are not usually studied, especially different areas are there. I have taken some examples. And through this qualitative research, we can land on the reality and describe and explain with the social environments or any kind of with the help of explanatory models, theories using qualitative research. And the purpose is very much clear. The purpose is understanding, because it is the end in itself. It does not attempt to predict, but to understand the nature in a particular situation. This is the purpose of qualitative research. And whenever we are talking the characteristics of qualitative research, it is assumed, it is being stated that qualitative research method usually collect data at the eyesight, where the participants are experiencing issues or problems. So these are real-time data, rarely bring the participants out of geographic location to collect information. Qualitative researchers are usually gather multiple form of data such as interviews, observation, documents, photography, and then there are so many sources we'll be discussing. And this type of research method works towards solving the complex issues by breaking down into meaningful inferences and easily that can be understood. And it is the part of qualitative research that it follows a descriptive kind of outcome. So it is very much I mean to say researchers often collect data in the field at site where participants are very much involved and experienced with a particular issue or with many issues or problems which are under study. So that is the characteristics of qualitative research. And the features of qualitative research are, they are very much used to gather information at the location where the respondents usually experience the problems just I told. So again, I am repeating, this is real-time information that forces the participant to come out of the geographic environment to assemble it. And the researchers do not just focus on a single source of data. Instead, they collect data from different sources like interviews, observation, photography, documentation, all are supporting, I mean to say, sources. So they also want to solve complicated problems by breaking them down into useful interfaces, and it makes it's simple to understand and read. It makes, through this research, we make a complicated problem could be translated, could be understood in a very simple way. So this is the useful of inferences. And if at all, we will be telling very briefly where the quantitative data research fails, qualitative research works like anything. It is a miracle. Qualitative research is a method of gathering, organizing, and interpreting data of a phenomena that are difficult to quantify objectively. So many terms are there where it is very difficult to explain in quantitative terms. So qualitative research is defined as a study of the nature of phenomena, including their quality, different manifestation, the context in which they appear, or perspectives from which they can be perceived, but excluding their range, frequency, and place in an objectively determined change of cause and effect. So a fact of situation is observed to exist or to happen, especially one whose cause and explanation is in the question. So phenomenon always becomes an interesting factor event in the society. So, for example, landslides, tornado, tsunami, heavy rain, flood. So there are so many natural calamities are there, and it is somehow very much interesting to know the facts and the events. And let us discuss the types of qualitative research methods. There are different types of qualitative methods. 6 types of qualitative methods we will be discussing one by one. One method is one-on-one interview. The second method is focus groups. The third one is ethnographic research. Fourth is case study research, then record keeping, then qualitative observation. So the result of qualitative method are more descriptive, and the inferences can be drawn quite easily from the data that is obtained. So qualitative research methods originated the social and behavioral sciences. It is laying in the society. So today our world is more complicated, and it is difficult to understand what people they are thinking and perceived. With this, we will be discussing one by one. One-on-one interview, what is that? This is the beauty of qualitative research. So conducting in-depth interviews in one of the common qualitative research methods. It is a personal interview that is carried out with one respondent at a time. This is purely a conversational method. A person is going to communicate and invite opportunities to get details in depth from the respondent. There is no time limit. It may half an hour, it may 15 minutes, it may 1 hour, 3 hours. So it depends upon the depth of the issue, the discussion will be taken place. And this method provides a great opportunity to gather precise data about what people believe and what is their motivation. And this is a very, I mean to say, the researchers should ask or may opt for this kind of methods in qualitative research in order to overcome many critical issues. When the in-depth interview is conducted face to face, it gives an opportunity to read the body language of the respondents, and it could be matched to the responses. It is a beautiful mechanism to implement in qualitative research method, one of the beautiful method. And the next is focus group. Focus group is one is commonly used in qualitative research method. A group usually includes limited number of respondents, like 6 to 10 maybe for a group. And the purpose of this method is to find answers through why, what, and how questions. This group is can be sent an online survey on various devices also nowadays is possible, and responses could be collected. And focused group, although an expensive method as compared to other online qualitative research method, but in a specific condition. For example, when a big a company is going to introduce a new product in the market, or a testing product will go on a testing phase. In that phase, we need focus groups reaction. So who are the focused group of that particular product? Who are the users? Are they teenagers? Are they young couple? Are they old persons? Are they female? Are they college going students? Are those researchers? So based on that, the focus group could be created. And the third one is ethnographic research. Ethnographic research is most in-depth observational method that studies people in their naturally occurring environment. This method aims to understand the culture, challenges, motivation, setting that occur. And this type of research can last for few days to few years, as it involves in-depth observation, collecting data on those grounds. It is a challenging and a time-consuming method, but it has got high sparking power, high magnetic power to collect information and to analyze, to observe, and to analyze the data. And the next is case study research method. So case study research method, I'm going to give you a very simple example. A bookstore owner who is looking for ways to improve their sales and customer outreach, and online community members who were the loyal patrons of the bookstore were interviewed, and related questions were asked and the questions were answered by them in this way. At the end of the interview, it was realized that most of the books in the stores were suitable for adults. There were not enough options for children or teenagers. By conducting this qualitative research, case study research, it is a case. Case can be identified in this way. And this qualitative research, this case study qualitative research method, a bookstore owner realized that what the shortcoming were and what were the feeling of the readers. Through this, the research, now the bookstore owner can now keep books for different age categories, can improve his sale and customer outreach. So this qualitative research method example can be solved as the basic to indulge in further quantitative research, which provides remedies. So that means it is a very comprehensive understanding of one subject, one issue. It can be on an individual, business, family, town, place, anywhere. And many business use this technique when they are starting marketing new customers. It tells how their business solution can solve a specific problem. So this type of research method is used within a number of areas like education, social sciences, and similar fields. This case study method is one of the simplest ways of conducting research, as it involves a deep dive and thorough understanding of the data collection method, because it is comprehensive understanding of one subject. And record keeping. The next method is record keeping method of qualitative data analysis, qualitative methods, qualitative research methods. So this method makes use already existing reliable documents which are very much similar sources are available for new research. So this is, you can take the example of the library. There can go over books and other reference materials to collect relevant data. So record keeping is an art for a researcher. When a researcher is doing qualitative research, a researcher is going to collect raw data. How raw data can be converted into qualitative will be useful in qualitative analysis. So when raw data is being collected, it will go into different stages. So looking into that, with the raw information, you will read all information and you will identify the themes and interpreting the meanings which are very much useful to you. So this helps you to develop qualitative analysis. And record keeping is a method makes you very much comfortable use of existing reliable documents. And if record keeping is not possible, then this method cannot be adopted. You need sufficient backup documents. You need sufficient information for your study area. And this information is known as data source. This data can be used for your new research. So when there will be a scope of plenty record keeping scope in your library, in your college, in your research center, it will lead you to formulate a kind of qualitative research through record keeping methods. And the next is, the last one is qualitative process of observation. So this method of research uses subjective methodology to gather systematic information or data. And we may take it as qualitative observation is primarily used to equate quality differences, like how it can be made. It is through observation. You have to observe very deeply. How we will observe? So I have taken 5 major sensory organs and their functioning: sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. So these are if at all you cannot measure all those things. There is no numerical methodology to measure all those things. It can be felt, it can be observed, it can be seen, it can be smelled. So in that way, qualitative research, data collection and analysis we'll discuss in context to that. So what is qualitative data collection? Qualitative data collection allows collecting data which is not numeric, is non-numeric, and helps a researcher to explore how decisions are made and provide us with detailed insight. For reaching such conclusion, the data that is collected should be holistic, rich expression, finding to emerge through careful analysis. And whatever the methods a researcher chooses for collecting qualitative data, one aspect is very clear: the process will generate a large amount of data. Because qualitative, for example, if the qualitative data is collected through a focus group or one-to-one discussion, there will be handwritten notes or video recorded tapes may be taken. If there are recordings, they should be transcribed before the process of data analysis can begin. So this is the process techniques of collecting qualitative data. So qualitative data must be recorded properly if one-to-one discussion and this is focus group discussion is going on. Then only we can convert that recordings, that handouts, that written, that typed material into a source of perfect and genuine data. And the second is qualitative data analysis. Qualitative data analysis, such as notes, videos, audio recordings, image, text documents, and it is a method that is distinctly different from all other qualitative research methods, where we, the researcher, analyzes the social life of participants in the research study, decode the words and actions on our own. So creativity can be given, creativity can be taken, can be placed. So qualitative data analysis involves the identification, examination, and interpretation of patterns and themes in textual data, and determines how these patterns and themes help answering the research questions at your hand. So that is most important aspect. And when to use qualitative research, I am giving you some examples. Developing a new product, generating a new idea, you can use qualitative research rampantly. Studying your product or brand, service to strengthen your marketing strategy, to understand strengths and weaknesses of a given situation, to understand the purchase behavior towards a defined problem of your product or services, to study the reactions of your audience to marketing campaign and other communication modes you are using, exploring market demographics, segmentation and customer groups, gathering perception data of a brand, company or product. These are the areas, very common areas. Apart from that, other areas are there, but these are the common areas where qualitative research are being used very frequently. I am giving you a very brief comparison between qualitative and quantitative research. So qualitative research is understanding human behavior and personalities in a better manner. It deals with human and social sciences. And when we are talking about quantitative research, it is a technique such as logical, statistical, and mathematics techniques are required to analyze and to get the result. And here, in case of qualitative research, open-ended questions are being used. And in case of your quantitative research, closed-ended questions are being used. So open-ended means no yes or no cannot be used. It requires to explain something. For example, I have taken some questions. Tell me about your relationship with your supervisor. You cannot give answer with yes or no. How do you see your future? You cannot give answer in yes or no. What is the purpose of government, of your government? You cannot give answer with yes or no. Why did you choose that answer? Also cannot give answer yes or no. But in case of closed-ended questions, you can give answer very strongly or yes or no, or from strongly agree to strongly disagree points also. Scale you can use. Are you feeling better today? Yes or no. You can answer. Are you going to qualify the exam? Yes or no. Will you please do me a favor? Yes or no. Have you already completed your homework? Yes or no. So always remember, the beauty of qualitative research is very much open. You can explain, you can put your thought. And data collection method, as I told, it is in case of qualitative research method, it is in-depth interviews, focus group and participants observation is the central theme. And where in quantitative research, the highly structured methods such as structured questionnaire and survey method is being followed. And in case of form of data produced, you know very well, it is descriptive data in case of qualitative, and in case of quantitative, it is numerical data. And in case of degree of flexibility, in case of degree of flexibility, qualitative and quantitative, the objective of research methods under qualitative to engage and discover various ideas, various theories. And in case of quantitative, the main objective of this research is to examine the cause and effect between the variables. So this is the basic difference. And I will be telling you, there are 5 parts of qualitative research, 5 components. One is purpose, one is conceptual, one is research question, one is methods, one is validity. So if at all we'll be talking about these 5 points, we have to understand the objectives, we have to understand the questions, how to frame questions, we have to understand the community, we have to understand the research methods, we have to understand the data, how that will be collected and interpretation will be taken place. And with this very precisely will be telling. These 5 components, if at all you are going to understand, then it will be very, very easier to write a paper on the basis of qualitative research. So let us discuss the purpose. What are the ultimate goals of this study? Let us discuss. So what issues is it intended to brighten? What practices will it influence? Why do you want to conduct it? Why should we care about the results? Why is the study worth doing? So find an unanswered, empirically answerable question to which the answer is worth knowing. It will be helpful because it has got 2 functions. First function is this type of question and answering will help you guide your design decision, your research design decision, to ensure that your study is worth doing. And the second function, through this question, they are crucial to justifying your study. They will help to justify your study. And remember, the research purposes for which qualitative research studies are suitable for understanding the meaning, understanding the context, and identifying the unanticipated phenomena, and understanding the process, understanding the explanations or developing the explanations. So these are the areas where you must purposefully think yourself so that it will become easier to get read or to catch the next step. And next step is telling conceptual context. It is a theoretical framework. What do you think is going on with the phenomena you plan to study? What theories, findings, conceptual frameworks relating to the phenomenon? And the system, I mean to say, you see, we are within the system of concepts, system of assumptions, system of beliefs, system of theories. We are revolving. That supports and informs to your research frequently by studying the preliminary research through literature review, through personal experience, or through interacting with the people. So it is a kind of like it gives you an idea about your structure, So this conceptual context to be clear, and it is very much because of 3 sources, the theoretical framework could be understood very systematically. This is with your own experience, experimental data, knowledge, research background, personal experiences, existing theory and research, that also you have to see, and the results of pilot studies, preliminary research that you have done, that also inductively develop grounded theory. So that theory, this component of designing certain theory will help you developing about the setting and issues of your studies. So you can set, or you can develop the issues of your study, because unless until you will not develop the issues, you will not develop the setting, you may not understand the gap, you may not understand the problem. So research questions are research. It indicates, it provides significant part in your research, because unless until you have not constructed a suitable question for your research, you cannot proceed further. You have to narrow down your question. I will be telling you how you have to narrow down your question. So research design two functions to help you focus on the study and to give you guidance on how to conduct it. This is a relationship to methods and validity. And I am talking about the framing the problem. Here I am giving you an example of a problem. The teacher of school X do not have the skill to recognize or properly guide talented children in the classroom. This is the example of a research problem. What should be the question? So problem and question simultaneously or very closely they are associated. You should read, you must have capability to read all those things. So what should be the question? What practical techniques can teachers at school X use to better identify and guide talented children? That should be your research question. So once you identify the problem, you try to convert that into questions. For example, under 30s increasingly engaged in the gig economy. Gig economy means temporary economy. Under 30 is giving services temporarily to different organizations, and what they are contributing is known as gig economy. So under 30s increasingly engaged in gig economy instead of traditional full-time employment, but there is a little research into young people's experience of this type of work. So how you will convert into question? What are the main factors that influence young people's decision to engage in gig economy? What do workers perceive as its advantages or disadvantages? Do age and education level have an effect on how people experience this type of work? You see how beautifully the problem could be converted into questions. That art to be developed. And I am telling you two situations here to go with strong research questions. One is focused and researchable. So the questions you are making, that should be focused one, and it should be researchable. And the second is the question you are preparing should be feasible and specific also. For example, one example we will take a criteria and explanation. Focus on a single topic and the problem. Here, your central research question should follow from your research problem to keep your work focused. If you have multiple questions, they should all clearly related to this central aim. It is one criteria. Second criteria is answerable using primary or secondary data. So this answered by collecting qualitative or quantitative data by reading the sources on the topic to develop an argument, and does not ask to a subjective value judgment. Avoid subjective words like good, bad, better, worst in explanation. This is focused and reachable, strong questions how you are going to frame. Next is feasible and specific. You see, there are three criteria. One is answerable within practical constraint, and one is use specific well-defined concepts. One is does not ask for a conclusive solution, policy, or course of action. So answerable within practical constraint. So make sure you have enough time and resources to do the research. If you think you might struggle to gain access to enough data, considering narrow down the question to be more specific. I was talking about that. So if at all you will learn how to narrow down the question to a specific term, that will become highly helpful to you. And when we are talking about use a specific well-defined concept, here all terms you use in research questions should have a clear meaning. Avoid vague language or broad ideas. You should be more effectively writing here. And the last one is research is about informing, not instructing. Even if your project is focused on practical problem, it should aim to improve understanding and suggest possibilities rather than asking for a ready-made solution. This will not become, if at all, outrightly somebody will be telling the solution. It may not prove the problem. And this is about different examples. I think I must switch over. The fourth is methods. We are discussing the fourth one is method. So we have to, the research relationship here, you have to, as you know, we are discussing about qualitative method, qualitative research. So your site selection and sample decision should be very carefully. You must do this because you are going to follow on one interview or focus group or ethnographic research or observation or record keeping or case study research. Based on that, you should proceed. And last is validity. I am discussing 5 components of qualitative research. So this is the last component of qualitative research. So in this validity, it is a component of research design and consists of strategies how you use to identify and try to rule out alternative explanation. So here you are going to establish, as it depends on the relationship of the conclusion to reality, and you must draw a suitable validity, means validation of your thoughts, validation of your ideas, validation of your collections, validation of your interviews in a very, I mean to say, in a very analytical manner. And it is potential because the conclusion of your study and how will you deal with these and how do the data that you have, that you could collect and support and challenge your ideas about what is going on. So why should we believe your results? So validity will establish the result. So that should be the fact. And I will be telling you what is a research problem. Research problem is a statement about an area of concern, a condition which is expected to be improved or difficult to be eliminated, or troubling questions that exist in the scholarly literature or in your mind or theory. For example, the problem in this community is that it has no hospital. For example, we have studied one community where there is no hospital. So the objective of the study, this is only leads a research problem where the need is for a hospital. The objective is to create a hospital. Then only it will become a purposeful kind of like problem for you. And problem, you see, most of the farmers in your province are not adopting new technologies. Why? So question, you are asking questions. This is another example. So when this question comes, are farmers unable to adopt new technology because of financial resources and it's limited? Then you will see the farmers in the province are unable to adopt a new technology because financial resources are limited. Through your hypothesis you will be writing, if you would like to take hypothesis. And what should be the objective of your study? The objective is to describe how financial resources influence farmers when deciding whether to adopt a new technology. So this, in this way you should frame. And research gap, we must know that research gap may be a topic or area which missing or inadequate information is available. And in that case, we must see that the research needs are those areas where the gaps in evidence limit decision making by, for example, I have taken here hospital. So limit decision making by patients, clinicians, and policymakers. So this can be studied from this diagram very, I mean to say, closely. There are several possibilities of research gap. Research gap is nothing which has not discovered or undiscovered research areas. Is researcher find out this is the gap. So research gap may be in population, maybe in analysis, maybe in implication, maybe in methods, maybe in concepts, maybe in perspectives, maybe in theory, maybe in methodology. So when we are discussing about research gap, you see what our previous researchers they have done, what they have left. They left because of gap in population, or gap in analysis, or gap in implication, or gap in method, or gap in concepts, or gap in perspectives, or gap in developing theories, or gap in methodology. So that we have to understand. If the gap could be identified, problem could be identified, then it will be easier for you to proceed with your research. I was telling about how to formulate a research question. For example, the topic is media violence. So we can see from various angles, children, adolescent, media violence. A critically will see this area, that particular area. And we have to narrow down the question to a specific term. Are teens affected by violent media? And we will try again to narrow it down further. Is there any evidence that violent video games increase violence in teens? So more narrow question, if at all you will be developing it will become a miracle instrument in your hands to for doing this qualitative research. Because you see, this type of question analysis and narrowing down the question will help you to establish your research. And you know very well, there are three kind of research basically we are doing. One is qualitative, one is quantitative, one is mixed method. So mixed method, as Professor Mandeja was telling, that the mixed method approach collects and uses quantitative and qualitative data in the same study. The combination of two methods is a recent trend nowadays. That means, in case we are conducting a research work, maybe our project, maybe our synopsis, maybe our thesis, maybe our paper, we are writing a paper, for example. So in this case, we can take mixed method as our approach, because it provides greater insight and enables triangulations and complementarity. It is highly pragmatic. And apart from that, you can practice from both qualitative and quantitative approaches how they are being used. But whenever we are talking about exclusively qualitative approaches, as I told, it provides the understanding and description of participants' experience. And qualitative approach is need to test and validate already developed theories. So theories will be developed and that will be tested by qualitative approach. And when we are talking about methods and strategies, it differs. And nowadays it has become a trend. Most of the researchers, they are putting qualitative as well as quantitative approaches and making a mixed approach. You can take close-ended questions, and you can also go with some pluralistic methods. And it is seen that because of the platforms, because of these tools, because of softwares, because of supporting statistical tools, these tools are very much helpful for analysis of our data, of our information in qualitative, in quantitative, in a mixed method approach. And suppose you are writing a paper. You are writing a paper. So how the qualitative research helps you? You remember when you are writing a paper, the introduction, before introduction, the abstract and keywords will be there. This describes about the reader's search from this keyword, and introduction must be thinking about what is the context for this particular project or paper you are writing. How does it fit with others' research on the topic that you have to write, and what is the research question also you have to write here. Because you see, if at all this could be done, then methods and results will be easier for you. How and what. Result says what was the answer to the question. This is the result in what. And your discussion part will be very, very, I mean to say conclusion part will be very, very effective because it shows the significance of your project, and it helps to establish your paper. But remember, since we are discussing this qualitative approach, qualitative research, we should be very, very strong in conceptual framework, literature review, research questions, research methods, and the process of validity, if at all, as I discussed. And I am concluding with a very small example, because for example, you have been posted in a hospital as a administrative head of that hospital. You have been told that for improving the patient care programs and organize efficiency in general medicine outpatient clinics, OPD. Qualitative research is the form of inquiry that analyzes the information and conveyed through language, behavior in natural setting. So it is used to capture the expressive information not conveyed in quantitative data about beliefs, value, feelings, motivation, underlying behaviors. So qualitative methods derived from a variety of discipline or traditions. Qualitative method derived from varieties of disciplines and traditions. They are used to learn directly from the patients. And important to them, what others are important to them, to provide the context necessary understanding quantitative findings and to quantify variable important for future clinical studies on the basis of this qualitative research. So I thank you, everybody. Success is not given, it is earned. So I request all researchers to follow these steps, and it is very easy to adopt and to write and to start research is qualitative research, which is very much comprehensive for you. And I hope you will be listening to me very carefully. And yes, and thank